There are more than 8 million people in the Dominican Republic who live almost every night in darkness due to a lack of regular electricity. This darkness brings with it a greater risk of theft and violence, not to mention toxic fumes and deadly fires from the candles and kerosene lanterns they need to use. The Dominican Light Project has come up with a solution that puts free, safe, solar-powered lanterns into the hands of Dominican families, giving them life-changing light for up to 5 years. And yet there is no book telling the story of the Dominican Light Project and how it's doing this. Nor is there a book about the Ujima Bakehouse, which was created specifically to take its profits and put them towards free eye care for poor people in Kenya, literally giving some of them their eyesight back. I've discovered that there's an astonishing lack of what I call social impact books. These are books that tell the stories and ideas behind social entrepreneurs, causes, and change makers that are bringing innovation to the world's problems. Stories and ideas that could guide and inspire the rest of us to do our own forms of social good. And stories and ideas that we need now so desperately when the world around us can seem like such a negative place at times. To put this lack into perspective, consider that Amazon.com carries more than 8 million unique book titles in 13,000 categories. There's a category for Arctic and Antarctic history with about 4,000 titles. And there's a category for dollhouse books with 2,000 titles. And yet there's no category for social entrepreneurs, change makers, or social innovators. Even Amazon's largest, most relevant category, nonprofit and charity, only has 8,138 titles. It's a tiny fraction of its overall catalog. It's absolutely astonishing. And that might be 8 million dots. I haven't counted. So if some of you count, let me know. So it's really an absolutely incredible situation that we're in, given that we have what I see to be so much potential out there. And this got me to wondering, why is it that we have this lack of social impact books? Well, it's not for a lack of interest in the subject. If you take a look at the news, the term social entrepreneur increased in the media 10 times between 2001 and 2011. And when books on the subject have come to market, there have been notable successes. 2 in recent years include Blake Mycosky's Start Something That Matters and Adam Braun's Promise of a Pencil, both of which rank in the top 0.2% of all books on Amazon, selling about 60 to 100 copies each and every week. And it's not for a lack of books being published. There are more books being published now than ever in history, and that number goes up every year. ISBN stands for International Standard Book Number. You might have noticed this on the copyright pages of books. That number is kind of like the Social Security number for books, each one identifying a unique book title. In 2002, the number of ISBNs issued in the United States was just under 250,000. But by 2012, that number had shot up all the way to nearly 2.5 million. And remember, that's the number issued each of those years, not a running total, and that's also in the US only. So we have an abundance of social impact stories out there to tell. People are interested. More books are being published than ever in history, and yet somehow these things aren't coming together. I've made it my mission to find ways to get more social impact books out into the world, and doing this by working to address the following 5 questions. Number 1, what if we shifted the focus from revenue to impact? It's not widely known outside of publishing, but books aren't really a great way to make money just on their own sales. There must be some authors in the crowd here. But the great thing is that when the objective is to get stories and ideas to spread more widely, then you can shift the focus from making a dollar to making a difference. And now that it's possible to publish a book for free, the old publishing paradigm of having to earn back thousands and thousands of dollars no longer exists. 2, What if social impact books were free? I mean this both literally in terms of free of cost, and I also mean it in terms of figuratively free to fly. The purpose of a social impact book is basically to affect change. So exposure is typically more valuable than sales. A social impact book can be sponsored, just like many documentaries on PBS are. They can be paid for through strategic partnerships that allow for free distribution. Or you can put a price on the book, but then give away copies for each one sold. This is what Seth Godin's doing in his latest book, What to Do When It's Your Turn, which he makes available on Amazon specifically in bundle packs so that you can keep a copy for yourself but then give away copies to other people. Brilliant idea. Now what if these, in case you were counting, what if these books were more like a social network? Part of freeing them and making them more freely available is to use technology to free them from their confines. Imagine a digital book that brings together the best of an ebook, a blog, a social network, and a website, all in one portable, shareable file. This is possible. Imagine a book that doesn't just communicate ideas, but embodies the very interaction between authors and readers to transform those ideas into reality. Current ebook formats have some interactivity, but really, by and large, they're closed systems in which there are barriers between authors, readers, and each other. 4, what if my clicker didn't work? Ah, there we go. What if we recognized and honored these books based on impact? Outstanding writing, design, and sales have long been recognized in publishing through book awards and bestseller lists. But the kinds of books I'm talking about need to be recognized and honored for their impact. A book that raises tens of thousands of dollars to fight the exploitation of girls and women. A book that increases the literacy rate of an inner-city school by 10%. Or a book that brings thousands of gallons of safe drinking water to a remote village each and every week. As you can see, I'm not talking about some vague and nebulous idea of impact. I'm talking about a measurable, demonstrable difference that a book has made. And lastly, this is where you all might come in. What if we simply wrote more social impact books? Now, if your heart is set on writing a novel or a nonfiction book or something that you already have in mind, by all means, go for it. We need more books out in the world, period. However, if you're like many people that I run into and you've thought about writing a book, but you're not quite sure what to write about, I ask you to consider a social impact book. For example, tell the untold story of someone doing amazing things that are making a big difference in this world. Or, if you're a little bolder, dare to share your own ideas for how to make this world a better place, no matter how crazy your ideas might be. Or consider how your book could be used as a tool to raise money and awareness for a relevant cause, which could be done no matter what kind of book you have. To this last point, it so happens that we have a perfect example of what I'm talking about right here locally. What Spins the Wheel was written and published by Len Forkas, who lives just a few miles up the road, a distance he could probably run without even breaking a sweat. I say that because he's an ultra-endurance athlete. And the book shares his lessons that he learned from biking 3,000 miles across the US in only 11 days. Do the math. He won that race, but he didn't stop there. He's now turned his book into a platform to raise money and awareness for his nonprofit, HopeCam, which connects children undergoing cancer treatments with their schools, teachers, and classmates through video technology. It helps them to avoid isolation. That's a perfect example of a social impact book. Technology and social change have come together to present us with an absolutely incredible opportunity. 20 years ago, even less, it took thousands of dollars and considerable expertise to publish a book. And even then, there was no guarantee it would end up in a bookstore, and most of the time it didn't. But now, as easy as online banking, we can publish a book and put it out to millions upon millions of people all over the world at no cost and zero risk of failure. Writing a book is never easy, but publishing a book has never been easier. Let's not squander this opportunity. Let's get more social impact books out into the world. We owe it to the people whose lives will be made better as a result. Thank you.